And you know what that sound means. Time for some more Wrestling with Power. Mr. Mosley here.
Like Vic here.
Slick Vic over there. And happy Halloween Eve, Slick Vic. You know, I thought today was called Hallows Eve. I thought today was called All Hallows Eve, and I was going to do that. But then I did some Google searching beforehand to make sure I didn't sound like a complete idiot. And no, this is not All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve is actually like the OG name for Halloween. So,
yeah,
this is just Halloween Eve.
No,
We're
actually,
here.
No, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, actually, today is called Mischief Night.
Mischief Night, yeah, I seen that. Or Devil's Night was
Yeah.
another name for it.
I believe the Crow took place on Mischief Night or Devil's Night. Let me just quickly fact check myself because I'm a nerd and whatnot. I want to know these things for real. And
Well, of course, we need to
Yeah.
know all these. We need to know everything that's going on.
it sure does. The Crow does take place on Mischief Night.
Awesome. Well, I'm feeling very mischievous tonight. I don't know about you, Slick Vic.
Oh yeah, man! Happy Devil's Night, Happy Mischief Night, and it's a mischievous night for an evening of wrestling.
Wrestling and some other things too as well, man. You know, today is a good day. I've been waiting for this day for a long time because today was the official launch of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, the digital launch of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection across all available platforms. You could cut the anticipation with a knife in this household last night, Vic. I couldn't go to sleep. I was late in catching up on SmackDown, so I was watching SmackDown last night, taking notes. It got to be like 11 o'clock before I was done. And I'm like, you know what? The hell with it. I'm going to go ahead and stay up till 12 because I want to play some Mortal Kombat. There hasn't been probably... I know there's not been a week that has went by since this game was announced that I haven't been on the internet like looking up new news or any kind of like anything that they've mentioned or come out with or said. I've been so excited for this collection come out, Vic, and I know you have too.
Yes.
Anybody that knows us knows how big of Mortal Kombat fans you and I are.
Yep.
So
every year we got together at a location where we would play Mortal Kombat for several hours. A mutual friend of ours, his house would be the destination point.
yeah.
Where we'd play some Mortal Kombat, especially Mortal Kombat 2 and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3.
We mentioned, and this is going back to like the first podcast episode that we did where we sort of introduced ourselves and talked about how we came into liking wrestling and everything. So we mentioned back then, that's one of the things that we always related on is when we would hang out or talk, we almost always talked wrestling. Mortal Kombat's right up there with it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a time that we weren't in the same room that it was like, you know, almost a requirement that we have to find a way to play Mortal Kombat. And somehow we managed, oftentimes through my little SNES Mini that I was packing around back then, we managed to play some Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Or if we was lucky enough to be at an arcade, we would play it there. But now we have Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and I know this is Wrestling with Power, and we talk wrestling, but I'm going to talk some Mortal Kombat right now because I'm excited. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection has all the old games. It has all the old arcade games, MK1, 2, 3, Ultimate 3. It even has WaveNet 3. It has 4. It has a bunch of home console versions of all of those. It has a couple of shitty Game Boy games, and it has Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the PlayStation. So all of the games that like are the games that you really want to play, in other words, everything pretty much besides the handheld games and Mythology, Sub-Zero, and Special Forces are all online. So you can play, it's not limited to just the arcade version of the game. Like, you can play the Genesis version of MK1 with somebody online. And that was a big deal for me as well, because I just knew that, I'd be playing this game religiously, and especially with Vic. And I'll go ahead and tell you guys, I had big plans. What the big plan was that for tonight's episode, we were going to do the show, and then at the end of the show, we were going to live stream us playing Mortal Kombat against each other. And unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen, because one of the big setbacks that has came about in the past couple of days was announced a couple of days ago, and now people are kind of, that may have skimmed over that are getting the game and realizing it. The online is not fully up to date on Legacy Collection. Right now, the only thing that you can do is do a quick match where it lets you select what game you want to play, but then it basically throws you out there into a matchmaking with some random person in the world. There's no way to do a private match with one of your friends as of yet. So, and no word on when that's going to be available, but hopefully it's sooner than later. But yeah, the plan was we were going to play some MK and stream it, and right here live on Twitch, and it was going to be good times. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen today, but I'm sure it will be happening down the road sometime. And if nothing else, we may try to jump on like the 32X version of MK2 and see, since nobody's playing that, we might see if it'll pair us up at the end of the show. We'll have to see what happens. But Vic, you got to play this game a little bit today. What was your takeaway from it?
Well, just like you said, the online component of this game is rather disappointing at the moment. I was hoping to have some private matches where you and I can send invites to each other and play against each other like we used to do back in Hyrule Castle.
Oh, yeah.
But now I'm stuck playing some randos on quick play. Mm-hmm. So before we went on the air today, I fired up the Legacy Collection, and you told me that you were having the most luck with getting opponents playing Trilogy. So that's what I did. I went right to Trilogy. First opponent. Well, my main in Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, even Vanilla MK3 is Cabal. So naturally, I chose Cabal. I faced against a robot smoke player. Not to toot my own horn, but toot. I kicked his ass and fatality'd him. But there was a lot of lag. Did you experience any lag while playing Ultimate or Mortal Kombat Trilogy?
Yeah, I experienced lag in play, and I played online on Trilogy, and like you mentioned, I had the most success there. There was the least amount of time between me selecting the game and it actually finding an opponent. Every other game, I played MK2 Arcade online. I played WaveNet version of UMK3 online. I played Mortal Kombat 2 on the Genesis online. But in every one of those instances, it took at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 minutes before it found an opponent, which I thought was crazy, especially when you're picking something like WaveNet UMK3 that, Mortal Kombat fans that are buying this, like deep Mortal Kombat fans, are super pumped about finally getting to play this version of the game. So they're going to be all over it. MK2 Arcade, I mean, people are all over that game, and it just wouldn't find anybody. But when I would select Trilogy, it would, within a few seconds, I had an opponent. So, I mean, it was... I can't say that I had as much success. I did get my ass kicked several times. I think I fought a child at one point, and I beat him for several rounds to try to redeem myself. But, it was fun. It was fun regardless of the lag. There was some lag and noticeable... for me, I think, because there is a little option there that you can kind of tweak, and it's like how much... I don't remember what the option's called. It's basically like how much the strength of your connection that you want to allow. and I don't remember what it's set to. I think it's like
I had mine
3.
set to any, or unless you're talking about lag input or input.
No,
lag.
not input. It's connection strength or something like that.
I had mine set to any. That might have been my problem there.
Well, I had mine set to any, and then I switched it to 5. I maxed it out, and still I had a little bit of lag issues, audio mainly, like little clips here and there. It wasn't like input lag or anything. That was fine, but like it was just noticeably not 1-to-1, which is a little disappointing. But you know, they'll iron all this stuff out. It'll be fine in time, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm still excited. I'm really wanting to play it right now, but we got a show to do.
Two quick questions, if you don't mind, if I may.
Yeah.
Do you have you're doing this on the PlayStation 5, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my two questions are: do you have your PlayStation 5 hooked up with the Ethernet? And what do you think of they keeping the CRT picture quality?
Well, you can change that.
Oh,
you didn't know you could change that?
Of course I did. Why wouldn't I know that?
No, you can't. Yeah. So, first of all, no, I don't have it hardwired. I was using Wi-Fi. I thought I might try just plugging the Ethernet into it, which I may do when we finish up here and see how it goes. But my connection speed is more than adequate for this type of thing. I mean, yeah. You know, I don't think that should be an issue. So I wasn't really blaming the lag on myself because I didn't think I could be the problem. Maybe I was the problem. I don't know. But no, I was using Wi-Fi. As for your second question, so the game automatically, when you fire a game up, the default setting has it on like a TV monitor, like normal aspect ratio. It'll throw up a border that looks like a television, like an old TV, depending on what your system you're playing on. Or not system, but depending on what version of the game you're playing on. And it will do like the CRT filter. But you can take all that stuff off. You can even add like a curved monitor look to it. So for the Genesis version of the game, I feel like I like playing that with the filter on more, which I'm not a big fan of CRT filters on any of the retro collection games. I'm just not. But like for those games in particular, especially if you're playing on a big TV, it looks so pixelated, especially on like the Genesis, that putting the CRT filter on makes it look significantly better. Now for like Trilogy and for the arcade games, I take all that stuff off. I just play with no filter, full screen, no border. Right. So
I'll have to fiddle with that because you and I both have a arcade 1-up machine of Mortal Kombat, and that's HD, and it looks great.
Yeah, it looks really good. My arcade 1-up, that poor thing, it's about to get put out in the storage building. I'm afraid, Slick Vic, because I never play it anymore, and it's taking up room. I have a very small house, and I have 2 arcade 1-ups in my living room that collect dust. And especially now that I have the Legacy Collection, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be playing on that, because nobody wants to play me anyway, because nobody that I know in the remote area knows how to play Mortal Kombat anyway. And if they do, it's like my kids. So every once in a while they'll want me to play, but I body them, and then they get really upset. Houston's actually really good, and Liam's pretty good too, but Houston picked up on it fairly quickly. He can beat me sometimes at that game. He doesn't really know combos, but you don't have to know combos in Mortal Kombat to win. So he does pretty good.
Is he just button mashing and killing you?
No, he knows how to do like special moves, and you can jump kick people, and as long as you time it right, you don't really have to know combos. You can. But he's really good with like Sub-Zero. He even plays some Shiva sometimes. But he would sit and play UMK3 until he I don't remember if it was like you would play like I think it was 8-on-8 combat, and once you finish that 8-on-8 combat, you would get to select the treasures of Shao Kahn, just like if you beat the normal arcade ladder. And he would go try to beat Noob Saibot, and he never could. So he would always come get me to come and try to beat Noob Saibot. So he played it over and over and over and over to keep getting back there. But yeah, like I say, I mean, now that I got this collection, I think it's going to get most of my attention. And unfortunately, Vic, like I said, I have a small house. I don't have a gaming area or a bar or anything cool like that I can set my cool game stuff up in. Maybe one day. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And hopefully, like I said, by the end of the show, we might try to play some MK. I had this whole big plan, dude, where I was going to do like the layout on Twitch. I was going to have both of us on camera like we're doing right now. We're going to have the gameplay sectioned off to itself. And I just didn't work on any of that once I figured out that we couldn't do the private matchmaking. So if we do try to do it, I'll still throw it up on Twitch. I'll try to whip something up really quick, and we'll see what happens.
Sounds good, man.
But this has been Combat with Power.
Combat with a K.
With a K, absolutely. Moving on, there's not been a whole lot, or maybe there has been. There's not been a whole lot of news that I've particularly read or saw lately. Vic, what about you? I mean, is there anything that's been going on that sticks out in the wrestling world before we move on to the reviews?
Well, are you down with the clown?
In terms of Stephen King's It, yes, I am.
Do you know how magnets work? I don't know if you get that reference.
No, I don't get any references.
It's a Insane Clown Posse reference. Is one of their songs goes, magnets, how the fuck do they work? But anyways, there is news coming out of Juggalo Championship Wrestling. A certain ghost from the past has crept its way into their promotion.
Yeah, this is the only thing that I had of note this week, and it seems like it just popped up in the last several days. But I know where you're going with Slick Vic. A certain good pal of Jim Cornette's from the olden days.
Your fellow Kentuckian's best friend. Vince Russo has joined the writing, or he's become the booker of Juggalo Championship Wrestling, JCW. Now, is Juggalo Championship Wrestling have storylines? Are they on TV? Are they on Twitch? Are they just random YouTube matches here and there? I do not know. Believe it or not, I actually did like some of ICP's music back in the day. Never been a rap guy, but I always found their music kind of entertaining. So,
well, they had the gimmick. They had the clown gimmick, and I was never a fan of them. I couldn't name one song, but I can name an album. One of their albums was called something like The Great Malenko.
Yeah.
And I remember I have a cousin who had several of their albums, and it was like 4 or 5 albums that came out, and each one of them, the album cover looked the same, but it was a different clown draw. Like it was, yes. There was a series almost of,
yes.
And I always thought that was so cool. I love the gimmick, but I never really got into the music.
You are absolutely right there. I think they were called the 6 Joker cards. And even though they released 6, and I think that was going to be like the end of their career after they released 6, but I think they're at like 12 now.
Okay. Well, they're doing Juggalo Championship Wrestling with Vince Russo now too, apparently. So
yeah,
I don't know a lot about JCW other than I've heard that it's like, I don't know if it is anymore, but I know that it was like an extremely hardcore promotion. Like they did a lot of hardcore matches. I'm like you. I don't know where I don't know where you can watch it. They don't have a TV deal. I know that. It's not a major. It's definitely more of like an indie promotion. But it's really strange that Vince Russo has shown up on this, considering his reputation, considering he did say that he was completely done with wrestling. I first read that he had invested in JCW, and then I read that he was on the writing team, that he was like head writer now or something like that. So,
Man has quit wrestling a million times. I think he's encroaching Terry Funk territory with his retirements. But
do you think maybe this is a perfect fit though? Vince Russo and his crazy shock TV antics and writing combined with Insane Clown Posse led indie wrestling?
Possibly. This is not going to draw me to Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
I'll watch it.
I mean, for the train wreck aspect of it, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, bro. If you want to watch some good shit, bro, come on down to JCW, bro. All right, that's the last I'll talk with that accent.
It's going to be competing with WWE in 6 months.
I will say this, like I said, I actually am a fan of the Insane Clown Posse. So, hey, I hope it works out for these guys because I like these guys. I might not like Vince Russo, but I like Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope.
Yeah,
they're both actually good dudes. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
How they got mixed up with an asshole like Vince Russo, I'll never understand. But like I said, maybe it's the perfect pairing. I'm kind of intrigued. Maybe that was the point. Maybe they knew that this would get some attention, and it has. I mean, it made the news here on Wrestling with Power. So I mean, that's big time when you think about it.
I mean, actually another thing that came to mind was, the story with Andrade. But come on, we're here talking about JCW and Vince Russo hooking up, getting in bed together.
Yeah, who cares about Andrade? No, I haven't heard anything about it.
He's got some kind of like 1 year no compete or something like that.
Oh yeah, I read about that. Yeah, that was several days ago, maybe a week ago. Yeah, he showed up in AEW shortly after he left WWE, and then all of a sudden he was off TV because it's like he has a 1 year no compete clause that he signed,
which sounds bogus as hell, but
it kind of does. But at the same time, there was also a tweet or some kind of post made by Samantha Irvin, the ring announcer that everybody loved, who left WWE, and she is on a 2 year no compete clause as an announcer.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's already got 1 year in, so she's been gone, for her year now plus whatever. And she's got another year to go before she can work for any other wrestling promotion, apparently.
That's wild.
2 year non-compete.
2 years. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Brock Lesnar signed like a 5 or 6 year no compete when he left in 2002. He signed some crazy no compete deal just to get out of his contract. I don't know if you remember hearing about this. This is way back in like 2003, 2000. It was 2004, because that's when he had that match. It was WrestleMania 20 with Goldberg.
Okay, I thought that was in 04.
Yeah,
20 was in 04. Okay.
Yeah, I think he signed some like crazy long term no compete deal, just so he can get out of his contract.
Yeah, and then he tried to play football. No, he went to Japan. Did he go to Japan before he tried to play football?
I don't know the timeline. I'm going to guess football came first. And then he did go to Japan, which I guess does not violate the no compete. So
I don't see how. It's New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then after that, where did he go after he went to the UFC? I guess that wouldn't get. Well, I could see how the UFC wouldn't violate it, maybe, but New Japan Pro Wrestling, he went there and beat Shinsuke Nakamura to win the IWGP title.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should consult with David Otunga, Harvard graduate in law, Maybe he can tell us what to do, what's going on. He actually did start a YouTube channel where he actually discusses this stuff. I haven't watched it, but I know it's there.
He might be able to give us the rundown. We'll have to reach out to him and maybe have him as a special guest one of these days.
Yeah.
You know, something else crossed my mind just then. I literally had Vince Russo and Juggalo Championship Wrestling as my news headline. But we've mentioned several, and I'll mention another one. There's some rumors going around that maybe Chris Jericho is coming back to the WWE. Have you read about that?
I think we've discussed this in the past.
We have, I believe. We touched on it, I think, in the last episode or two.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's still going around like it's an active rumor. It didn't pop up and go away. It's like they had those weird little videos that WWE came out with within the last week, and some people thought that one of them was Jericho. Turns out that was like a WrestleMania advertisement that they were doing. But I don't know. Maybe he'll show up at the Rumble. I'd say he'll show up at the Rumble if he comes back.
Let's see. I look forward to I think Jericho coming back, at least, for a short run, would work.
Yeah. Well, a short run ending his career. He needs to call it a day. He's getting to the point where, I mean, he's did great, but it's over. Like he needs to call it. The only problem I see with that is there's so many of that same thing going on. You have the John Cena retirement tour, which has taken place the entirety of the year of 2025. You had Goldberg coming back and trying to retire in the middle of that, and they rushed his ass out the door. Then next year you're going to have AJ Styles in his last year as an active wrestler. So you're going to do Jericho and AJ? I don't know. I feel like Jericho would want his own. He's a little bit prideful that way. You know what I'm saying, Slick Vic?
Yeah. AJ does deserve a respectable
focus.
Yeah. A little ride off into the sunset with his held head high.
Yeah. All brakes and no gas with it.
The horse has no gas.
A wise man once said, all brakes, no gas with it. I believe that man's name was Brad Buffer, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He was in WCW calling the main event.
Yeah, Brad Buffer, the famous announcer. Now, you know what? I do want to say, Slick Vic, that last week's episode, I was messing up calling him Brad. I called his brother Brad. Neither one of them are Brad. And I figured it out. I know why I was messing up. I know who Brad Buffer is now. He's our esteemed episode artist. That's his name.
How
Brad
did we mix
Buffer.
that up?
Well, I said it, and then I went to him, and I'm like, look, Brad, I know that you didn't want to be named on the show, but I accidentally name dropped you, and I'm sure the millions and millions of fans are going to be Googling Brad Buffer. So if there was ever a time to come out and just, put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, it's right now. And he said, go ahead, spill the beans. So,
okay, Brad, we tried to respect your privacy, Brad, but we let the cat out of the bag.
I let the cat out of the bag. Brad Buffer, our esteemed episode artist, by the way, did an amazing job on last week's episode art. I don't know if you looked at all the fine details of that wondrous masterpiece, but our Halloween Havoc 1996 art for last week's episode. And I think it struck a chord, Slick Vic, because we got numerous new followers on Facebook. We got several plays on, no joke, Slick Vic. We are up to 100 followers on Facebook. We jumped from somewhere around 30 to 100 in a week. So that was nice. We also got our plays back on Spotify. I think the week before we didn't have any. We got several this past week. And, of course, YouTube's doing great as well. So,
Man,
props to Brad and his
that's great, man.
his
Brad,
hard
you hear
work.
that? You're selling us out. They're hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, hopefully they don't fall from the rafters. Anyway, Slick Vic, I think it's time to go ahead and talk a little wrestling and get into our usual spiel here with some wrestling reviews over this past week. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started with that, a couple of things to mention. First of all, we're having Slick Vic's picks tonight. The return of the illustrious Crystal Ball and Slick Vic's picks for Saturday night's main event. That's gonna main event our show tonight. This Saturday, actually, here in a couple of days, November the 1st. And because we're recording this as we most of the time do on Thursday night, and we're going to be reviewing the most recent previous SmackDown and Raw. You know, tomorrow starts a new week for us here at Wrestling with Power. Tomorrow night's a new SmackDown, and they can always announce another match for Saturday night's main event. Right now, there's 4 matches on the card, and we'll get to those here in a little bit, but just wanted to mention that, like we've done in the past, if they do announce a match tomorrow for Saturday night's main event, we will get Slick Vic's prediction for that one and throw it up on the Facebook page. So everybody that wants to get an update and get a full rundown of Slick Vic's picks, make sure you follow us there on Facebook. And also, I want to talk about Vic's gimmick this week. Because, as usual, Vic has brought us something out of his collection to show us today.
Well, this one was actually donated to me by the Mrs. Slick Vic. So this is Purgatory. She is from Chaos Comics. She's also a demon queen, I believe was what she was. Say it again. The vampire goddess from Chaos Comics. She's also on the cover of Days of Purgatory by the heavy metal band Iced Earth. Check that out if you guys are interested. But yeah, there she is in all her illustrious glory.
She definitely looks like a comic book character.
Yeah. Purgatory.
And looks like for those of you who are not watching this, if you're just listening to it on Spotify, this is basically a female Satan, is what she looks like. Got the wings, got the horns all red everywhere, got some silk stockings going on with some high heels, blacked out. And, yeah, it looks really cool. I dig it.
You said all red everywhere. It made me think of Eva Marie. That's a name from the past. I don't know if you remember that.
Uh-huh. Blast from the past. But all right, Slick Vic, let's jump right into some reviews, shall we?
Let's do this.
All right, well, the first review, and being brought to you once again this week by yours truly, was SmackDown from October the 24th, 2025. And if I can get to my notes without these ads popping up wanting me to rate things, we'll talk about it. This SmackDown was from Tempe, Arizona. Never heard of this place before now. But I didn't catch the actual name of what the center, wherever they were at, but I'm sure there's not too many of them in good old Tempe. The show starts, we get a brief backstage interaction between Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso. Jimmy thanks Cody for taking up for his cousin Jacob last week. Cody asks if Jimmy and Jay are okay. He says he has a brother in the game and knows he's going to do what's right for him, and Cody's going to do what's right for himself. His brother in the game, obviously, is Dustin Rhodes. Goldust.
Yeah.
Cody then heads out to the ring. He talks about hitting McIntyre with the belt last week, says it was uncharacteristic of him, and asks the crowd should he apologize. McIntyre shows up through the crowd, says he doesn't need Cody's apology, and tells the crowd they're all brainwashed by corporate Cody's propaganda, and they'll cheer him no matter what he does. Drew then starts to plead his innocence in what happened to Jacob last week, but Cody cuts him off and challenges him to a fight right now. Jimmy shows up through the crowd and attacks Drew until they are pulled apart by security. Solo Sikoa's music hits as he accompanies the MFT to the ring for a match. So, I thought it was a pretty good start to the show. I do enjoy the ongoing story of Jacob Fatu's attacker, and I feel like it'll be someone other than Drew. I'm really getting Rikishi running down Stone Cold vibes from this storyline.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to end up being somebody other than Drew. I think it's going to be a surprise, probably Jay. If it's not Cody, originally I said that I think maybe it'll be Cody, but Cody is sort of adamant in not turning heel. So even though he does these little things here and there to kind of throw a wrench into people's thinking about what he's going to do, overall I don't know if Cody's going to be turning heel, but maybe it was Jay. Don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens, but definitely Rikishi vibes going on. And we all know he did it for The Rock. What did you think about this opening segment here, Slick Vic?
Well, Cody just came out and hyped their match at Saturday Night's Main Event. But I love when Drew came out and talked about the whole corporate Cody line. That was a good one. And I agree. I don't think Drew did it. I don't think Drew is responsible for Jacob's attack. I thought about maybe this might be Cody, but I don't think it's time to turn Cody. I mean, I don't know how long Jacob's going to be gone, but is Jacob the right person to turn Cody heel? Like, is this the man that has so much sympathy from the crowd that we're going to turn on Cody? So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Cody's the culprit.
That's a solid point too. Is if Cody turned heel, that would be a huge deal in WWE, obviously, and would this storyline live up to that hype of turning him heel? It's a very good point. On to that, we go to a match, first match of the night, and as I mentioned earlier, the MFT were heading down to the ring. Of the MFT, it's Tama Tonga and JC Mateo taking on Rey Fenix and Shinsuke Nakamura. So, Shinsuke and Tama start and quickly go into trading forearms, neither man getting the overall upper hand before tagging in their partners. We get a lot of back and forth with all members of each team tagging in and out. Rey Fenix pulls off several impressive top rope attacks to the MFT, including a 450 splash to both members on the outside. Eventually, Tala, I call him Taller, gets involved. He chokeslams Phoenix on the apron, which leads to Tama hitting his finisher for the win. This was not really a particularly memorable match for me. I'm glad Shinsuke didn't take the fall, and I think, that results in him, ending up not looking weak here. Shinsuke just came back after a pretty lengthy absence. I thought he was gone from the company. But even though his team didn't win, I'm glad he didn't take the fall for him because of that reason. The MFT were looking pretty good. I think it's a better match than I've seen from them in recent memory. I think the face paint definitely helps. I think it, some of them especially look stone-faced, so I think this definitely helps the overall presentation of the MFT. But, I think Shinsuke done really good, and it was obvious he got in most of the offense compared to his partner in this match. Overall, Slick Vic, I gave this a 2 gigawatts, 0.5 for build, quality got 1, and result got a 0.5.
There's going to be two phrases. Well, one word is going to come up a lot tonight. That one word is moonsault. We're going to talk a lot about moonsaults tonight. But for SmackDown, I hate to be negative, but we're going to hear run-of-the-mill from me a lot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I'm glad to see Tama Tonga's back because I think he's the most charismatic member of the MFT. It's definitely between him and Solo. Ray Phoenix has some unique springboard offense, and he's got this move from the second rope that was where he like bounces. I should say, he like bounces from the top to the second rope back to the top. That's pretty cool. I dig it. JC Mateo still does nothing for me. At this point, there are several large dudes that can do moonsaults. It doesn't make him special. And I got a question for you. Is it too late for Shinsuke Nakamura to have a main event run? Let me go first, because I think so. I think it's too late. He's had too many stop-start pushes, and the card is really stacked. I'm glad he's a face again. I think he works better as a face than a heel. And he has, he has, because he does the same offense minus the mist. The only thing he does differently as a heel is he spits the mist. But this was just a run-of-the-mill tag match. Phoenix has some moments to shine. Tom is entertaining. But as mentioned, JC is not exactly going to set SmackDown on fire. And unfortunately, I feel like Shinsuke is just kind of there. I mean, he came back to, a big moment 2 weeks ago, and now he's just Ray Phoenix's next tag team partner.
Yeah. Well, to answer your question on my side of things here, I don't think it's too late, but I'm not quite sure if that's just wishful thinking or if that's actually an educated assumption. Because, whenever they did turn Shinsuke heel and they changed his music and everything, people were kind of excited about it. I think people were excited more or less because Shinsuke had not been used properly up until that point. He had a little bit of a run. I think he won Money in the Bank one year, and people were excited about that. And nothing happened. I think what did he lose? He cashed in and lost?
No, he won the Rumble, which led to him and AJ Styles kicking each other in the dick for 3 months.
Yeah, that was it, the Rumble. Okay, so, well, it was a mess.
Yeah, just, low blow after low blow, month after month.
Yeah, and then they when they repackaged him prior to his most recent absence, people were excited about that because he was more vicious, and they thought that they were getting like the more vicious, strong style, Japanese style Shinsuke that they knew from Japan, and that went nowhere. And like I said, a lot of people thought he was gone from the company, me included, because none of this was working out. They were sticking him in the mid-card, left to die, basically, in the mid-card. He never really got a big push, but, I think it's because his style doesn't match what they're looking for in the style of a main event match. He's not a very big guy, either. And so, him being able to believably beat somebody like, I don't know, a Randy Orton or who's some other believably beat a Brock Lesnar, for God's sakes. What is he going to do to actually make that happen? I think that when he was showing that more vicious side, people thought, okay, maybe we're going to finally, everybody in America and WWE audiences are going to finally see he's capable of doing this. He's just got to do it his way. But now he's a good guy again, and I'm like good guy Shinsuke. I hope that he gets a main event push. However, like I said, I don't know if that's the more educated guess or, I would definitely like to see him win the World Heavyweight Championship before he rides off into the sunset or goes back to Japan or whatever he chooses to do, for sure. I'd be all for that. All right, so then we're going on to another match. Straight into it, Tiffany Stratton versus Kiana James. This is a non-title match, I believe. Both gals go through a series of counters and gymnastic moves. They're rolling and flipping all around the ring, with Tiffany eventually getting the upper hand. They eventually fight on the outside of the ring into a commercial break and are back in the ring when we come back from the break. With Kiana James, the aggressor now. Gotta love these commercial breaks where, you go into a commercial break and it comes back and the entire scene is just completely different of what's going on. Fucking hate it. Stratton regains the upper hand and hits an Alabama slam but can't capitalize with the moonsault after. Kiana hits a very nice looking Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. Tiffany soon after lands the prettiest moonsault ever for the win. Post-match, Julia attacks Tiffany, but Jade Cargill hits the ring to stop the assault. Jade takes out Julia and saves the champ, only to lay the smackdown on her shortly after. Cargill continues the assault on Stratton outside the ring, throwing her into the ring post and tossing her over the announce table until she gets pulled off by officials. I kept thinking how similar these two were, talking about the match. And I really, it was, something was clicking in my head when I was watching this. I'm like, these girls are the same person. And I had never paid attention to Kiana James before, or she had never been given a platform to actually showcase what she's capable of, but I thought she came off really impressive here.
Are you saying her and Tiffany are the same?
They wrestle the same. I
actually do have a little bit of notes to go into that, but go on. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, they did it the whole match. They were doing the flips, the gymnastic counters, the back handsprings, the front flips, the whole thing. They're very, very similar. And like I said, I kept thinking that the whole match. With the gymnastics in their skill set, even similar looks and attire, they make a good pairing and complement each other really well. And for me, honestly, this was a surprisingly solid match. I wasn't expecting much from Kiana. I wasn't at all surprised by the post-match, and am actually glad Jade gave Tiffany a whooping rather than the old handshake, good form ending heading into their match at Saturday night's main event. Overall, Vic, I talked up this match a lot, so I don't want the score to deter from that, but I gave it a 2.5. The build got a half, quality got a 1. Normally I would only give that a half if one of the two was doing good, but they both did great. And result got a 1. What did you think of it?
Well, I actually do have a lot to say about this. So first of all, I don't know if you noticed, there was before the match there was a promo, and Nikki Cross was kind of stirring in the background, which I thought was kind of interesting. Before the match, Chelsea and Alba tried to recruit Julia into their secret service, but Kiana came in and told them all to, basically piss off while that was going on. You saw Nikki Cross just lurking in the background.
Okay, nice eagle eyes there, Slick Vic. I'm glad I have you for these types of things, because either I
put on my thermal goggles like Snake, and I saw
there you go. Either I didn't care enough to notate that, or I completely missed it. But yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Okay, a couple things here. So is Kiana and Julia working? Because I feel like Julia came into the WWE similar hype to Stephanie Vicaire. And now Julia, despite being the women's U.S. champion, is just kind of in the background there while Kiana does all the talking. And Chelsea's a riot like she always is. And, Chelsea's commitment to her character is always so much fun to watch. But as for the match, I wanted to say run of the mill, but I got to give this a little bit more props, because this match at least allowed both women to showcase their athleticism. And yes, we talked about it. Both women come from gymnast backgrounds, and it was totally on display here. Both women are cartwheeling, backflipping, and springboarding all over the place. But Tiffany gets to shine, hitting all her big moves. Kiana hit a really good falconer. You mentioned that earlier. And but that superplex spot at the end where it looked like Kiana just reversed on herself. The match itself didn't have a lot of heat. The big story is the ending. That's what we're all going to talk about, is Jade, who came in looking like $1 million and really does look like a comic book character come to life. And that eyebrow scar that she's got, great touch. It really helps amplify her new heel look. And Jade needed this. I feel like she's more of a natural heel anyways. And like you, I'm glad we didn't have her helping her to her feet and just high-fiving her and walking off. No, she kicked her ass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was happy to see Jade become heel, because I feel like she should have been the heel all this time, and now we're finally getting it.
Well said. Well said. And I do want to add, I'd mentioned that Tiffany and Kiana both, being similar with the gymnastics and everything. I enjoyed this match so much more than I enjoyed the Women's Crown Jewel Championship match between Tiffany and Stephanie Vaquer. Because even though, Stephanie Vaquer puts on a clinic every time she's in the ring, you put Tiffany in a match with somebody like Stephanie, and it makes Tiffany look like shit. Because she's not of the same caliber as Stephanie Vaquer. You put her in the ring with Kiana James, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is impressive. Her weaknesses are not as apparent when, mixed up with somebody who's much more similar to her. And I think that was a very big strong suit for me in this match, by the way. So I just wanted to add that before we continue on.
Let me ask you one question, though. Do you think pairing Julia with Kiana takes some of the attention off of Julia? Like, it kind of makes her, it takes some of the aura of Julia off of her.
In a way, yes, especially after this match in particular. I think that Julia is fantastic, and I think she has everything that she needs to just be a huge success. But Kiana, I've always looked at Kiana as being sort of just the sidekick, just the girl that's following around the champion to, get a little bit of exposure herself. But yeah, I don't think they need each other at all. And I think you're right about that. I think that they end up being together. They end up hurting each other more than anything because I think they would do better separately.
No, I agree with you, man. Like, totally. Like, this whole... I feel like you said it makes Kiana come off like a sidekick. I actually think when I was watching this segment, it made Julia come off as the sidekick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is more harm than good for Julia. So
yeah, it works to her detriment because she's carrying one of the titles. So I definitely agree with that.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens next. From that, we get another backstage segment. Here we have Sami Zayn. He's giving props to Ilya Dragunov, and Ilya's giving props to Sami doing the U.S. Open Challenge. Sami tells him that he's passing that torch on to Ilya, and Dragunov, while Sami is doing this, while Sami is talking him up, Dragunov is just sitting there and he's festering up like a tea kettle. And he's talking about what it means to be the U.S. champ before wishing him well as he heads to the ring. Then we have a match, and Ilya Dragunov is continuing the U.S. Open Challenge here. His challenger, Aleister Black. So, when Ilya gets to the ring, before we actually see the challenger, he cuts an emotionally charged promo. I feel like it didn't get a whole lot of response. I felt like the crowd was kind of dead during this promo.
Nope, I have that in my notes as well. Nope, not a lot of... the crowd didn't seem to pop too hard for it.
No, he was going all out, man. But it's one of these, again, run-of-the-mill where... I'm so honored, I'm so lucky, I'm so thankful to be back, I love you all, I miss you all, and people are just like, oh, fuck, come on, dude, like, don't do this.
I have that exact thing in my notes.
It's like, we want to see this guy's been talked up as this, for lack of a better description, a rabid Wolverine, and he's out here spilling his heart out. We don't want to see that. Just get to the match. So, anyway, all of a sudden... the lights go out, and Aleister Black rises to answer the open challenge. We get into the match, and Aleister avoids a Constantine special with a nasty kick to Ilya, knocking Dragunov outside the ring. With the ref's back turned, Zelina Vega hits a quick head scissors on Dragunov, tossing him to the barricade on the outside, and we'll see this is a common theme throughout this match. After a few moments, Dragunov gains the upper hand and scores several nice back suplexes on Black for a 2 count. Zelina causes a distraction while Dragunov is perched on the top turnbuckle. Black follows up by yanking Ilya's legs out from under him, causing him to fall flat on the ring, but not before ringing his bell on the turnbuckle on the way down. Black continues the assault, but Dragunov hits the Constantine special to turn the tides. Ilya lands a senton. I just realized how many notes I have for this match. Ilya lands a senton from the top turnbuckle, but only gets a 2 count out of it. Black counters the Torpedo Moscow with a sick knee to Dragunov's face, followed by a brainbuster, and that was a really nice brainbuster, by the way, for a 2 count. Dragunov avoids the Black Mass kick and lands Torpedo Moscow, but seems to hurt his neck in the process. He recovers and goes for an H-bomb, but Zelina pulls his feet out from under him. The ref doesn't directly see the interference, but winds up and throws Zelina out anyway. Damian Priest's music hits, and he starts to walk to the ring, causing a distraction to Aleister Black, to which Ilya takes advantage of by hitting the Torpedo Moscow for the win. Post-match, Priest starts attacking Aleister Black, who is saved by Zelina Vega jumping on Priest's back and raking his injured eye, allowing the pair to retreat. My thoughts. I thought it was a fairly decent match, although it wasn't as good as some of, or most of, the other U.S. Open challenges we've seen in the past several weeks. I think for me, I knew Priest would get involved somehow, and that actually happening sucked the air right out of this whole segment for me. I am just so sick of this feud, Slick Vic. I've said it time and time again. I've said it till I'm blue in the face. I'm so sick of this. Aleister Black can't show up without Damian Priest showing up at some point too, just to fight him, and vice versa. They can't get out of each other's hair, and I don't know where they're going with this. I wish one of them would just murder the other one already. As for the match, though, on the gigawatt scale, the old Mosley scale gave this a 2.5, a 1 for quality, a 0.5 for emotion, and a 1 for result. Your thoughts, Vic?
Well, I got some beefy notes for this match as well.
Are they spicy, though?
No, because I think they're going to be a little leftovers from what you said. Some of it's going to be some leftover spice. Like I said, I kind of wish Ilya didn't give the whole "I am back from such adversity" speech. While it does fit his scrappy persona, and I think it took away from his aura, and the crowd really didn't seem to pop for it either. But I'm happy they're keeping the U.S. Challenge open with him, because I do find him at least fun to watch. And we haven't seen him in a while. And there's the old saying, "How can I miss you if you don't go away?" And he was gone for a whole year. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega's entrance was cool. Zelina was giving me Lily Munster vibes with the hair. So, she looked good. Let's see. Zelina, let's see. For better or worse, they've filled the dark couple gimmick in wrestling that was previously occupied by Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Plus, have you ever seen the movie From Dusk Till Dawn? I don't know if did we talk about this a couple of weeks ago?
We talked about this on the last episode. I have not seen it.
I'm just going to go ahead and send you a YouTube clip maybe at the end of this episode.
Okay.
It's let me know if you know who Salma Hayek is, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Woo!
So I like Dragunov hit a very unique looking pump handle delayed suplex. I don't know if you mentioned that in your review, but that was a pretty interesting spot. I like the striking exchange from both men, and it's a good contrast. Whereas Black is more smooth and precise, you can tell this guy's trained in Muay Thai, and Dragunov, who's more bombastic and just more, like wild man-ish. I call him the scrappy underdog. Aleister Black pulled out a tiger knee, followed by that brainbuster. You mentioned that earlier. The brainbuster was badass.
Yep.
The referee ejecting the manager's spot, which always gets a big chuckle out of me. Overall, I thought this was a pretty decent, hard-hitting match. I knew Priest was going to come out, and I like you. I'm ready for this feud to end. I would have thought the last man standing match would have been that big blow-off match, but I guess this feud just continues. This never-ending feud. It's going to be. How are you going to top the Fireball spot?
I'm telling you, brother, it's got to be Hell in a Cell. I've been saying it and saying it and saying it. It's got to be in the cell.
Hell in a Cell. It's one thing I miss about the old chairman saying, "Hell in a Cell."
Oh, man. Good stuff, Slick Vic. Good stuff. From that, we get several short backstage segments, and I'm just going to breeze through these real quick because after these segments, we get to the main event. So, backstage, we see Carmelo Hayes. He's being interviewed about his feud with The Miz. He says he's going to let it go. Kit Wilson shows up, runs his mouth, gets a match with Carmelo next week on SmackDown. Then we see Fraxium talking to Ilya Dragunov. Then all of a sudden Gargano and Ciampa show up and argue a little bit and talk some smack. Then all of a sudden Tama Tonga shows up and does the yeah for no reason and just disappears into the darkness. So I don't know what the point of that segment was. I thought we were getting another match set up, and honestly, I think that it's very probable that we're going to see Fraxium take on Gargano and Ciampa soon, maybe next week, but it wasn't confirmed here, so can't say that. Then we have the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Flair and Bliss. They answer a media. They answer a. I'm sorry, I messed that up. Flair and Bliss answer a challenge made on social media to show up on Raw and put the titles on the line against Bayley and Lyra. Nia Jax shows up, talks smack to Bliss, and gets challenged to a one-on-one match next week on SmackDown. Anything to add to these brief, kind of just whatever segments?
Well, all I'll say was the whole Carmelo and Kit Wilson thing was it set up a match very. I have it here. Wilson interrupts and does his toxic shtick, and it sets up a very lame setup for a match next week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Fraxium. I thought what's it called? DIY calling Fraxium Pinky in the Brain was kind of funny. And then at the end of the promo, Johnny storms off saying, "Get some holes in that mask, or ear holes in that mask." and then Tama Tonga showing up doing his yeah. It's always hilarious to me. But hey, we got a tag. We kind of have a tag team division. We didn't see the Motor City Machine Guns. We talked about last week. We should build the tag team division around them, but we didn't see them this week. And Nia Jax and Alexa next week. I wrote, hooray.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So there's that. Man.
Yeah.
Nia Jax is so cringe when she comes in and does like a promo. How has she not learned to do a promo? Well, how has she not learned to wrestle in 10 years or whatever it's been? But, that's maybe a discussion for another time. So let's move on to our main event, Slick Vic. This is a no disqualification match that sort of came out of the fiasco happened at the beginning of the show. We get Drew McIntyre taking on Jimmy Uso. And the fight starts before Jimmy even makes it to the ring. McIntyre comes out and meets him in the aisleway. We get some back and forth in the ring, outside the ring again, into the crowd, back ringside. And eventually Jimmy finds a beefy, spicy Slim Jim table. I believe we go to a break at this point. I'm not sure. I watched it after the fact. But I believe we get a break. And then when we come back, McIntyre takes the advantage. They're in the ring again. McIntyre goes out and gets a chair and brings it back in the ring, goes to work on Jimmy. Eventually, he sits Jimmy up in the chair and goes for a Claymore, which Jimmy dodges and slams Drew's head into the chair using his own momentum against him. Jimmy hits an Uso in the wind, but only gets a 2 count. He then grabs the chair and hits McIntyre several times before setting up the table from earlier. With time to recover, McIntyre hits a Future Shock DDT on Uso and gets a 2 count. Drew goes for a Claymore, but Jimmy catches him into a Samoan drop through the Slim Jim table. Jimmy goes for a top rope Uso splash, but gets a chair thrown in his face on the way down. Drew then follows up with a Claymore that finally finds its mark and gets him the 3 count fall. Post-match, Cody Rhodes hits the ring to save a further beatdown by Drew, but ends up getting a Claymore for his trouble. Thoughts on this, Vic? Man, This really was an underwhelming main event and fairly weak match in terms of a no DQ match. They worked this up to be an absolute knockdown, drag-out fight, and it was just lame. It was just lame. We had one table broken, one chair used, barely anything that used the stipulation of the no DQ other than no countouts because they fought outside the ring a lot. That's like the only thing that they took advantage of. So for me, in this main event, gets 1.5 gigawatts. Quality got a 0.5. Emotion got a 0.5. And result got a 0.5. What are your thoughts, Vic?
Man, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
A run of the mill DQ match.
Ooh.
They fought outside for the first part of this match, and they didn't really use any weapons for most of it. The drop to hold spot from Jimmy to Drew face first, and the chair was a good spot. You know, Raven used to do that a lot. I don't know if you remember watching any Raven matches. And then, you know, later on, Jimmy finally unloads with a chair, which woke up the crowd. Jimmy sets up a table, the beefy, spicy table, and Corey Graves on microphone was like, "Big Jim sets up the Slim Jim." And I wish Drew sold that Samoan drop to the table longer instead of just getting up right after it and throwing a chair at him at an airborne Jimmy and then hitting a Claymore for the win, because it was like, you took a Samoan drop through a table. You would think you would sell that a little bit longer, and he just got right back up and threw the chair at an airborne Jimmy.
It was Claymore, a mess.
1, 2, 3. In the end, I felt like this could have been a regular match without the no DQ stipulation. It wouldn't have made much of a difference. So, yeah.
It really didn't. I mean, they fought outside the ring. You know, the ref rarely counts people out when they're fighting outside the ring unless the ref is supposed to. And I think these days it's a lot more obvious when the referee is supposed to count somebody out because they actually count. And otherwise, they'll go 1, and then they'll go over there and they'll yell at them a little bit, and then they'll walk back and they'll say 2, and then they'll go over there and they'll yell at them. They'll get to 3, then they'll get out there and try to get them back in the ring, and then it's like, you know, it's. But this was, you called this a run-of-the-mill no DQ match. I don't even think this was that. I think it was more lame than, because a no DQ match for me means there's going to be a lot of furniture, a lot of, you know.
Yeah. I was being too nice saying this.
You was being too nice. You know, and I'll be honest with you, I almost even gave this another score because I was trying to be too nice to it. I was trying to, originally I had a 0.5 in build because they did build it a little bit at the start of the show, but it was at the start of the show. Of course, we had what happened last week was last week, and that's a little more build, but, you know, then I started thinking about it, and the Gigawatts don't play no games, and neither does Mr. Mosley, so they get a 0 for build, because this particular match was not built up, other than the start of the show, and that doesn't count. 1.5, worst match of the night, in a night full of fairly, as you say, run-of-the-mill matches.
I even wrote that in my notes. Like, was I being too negative tonight? I guess not. I guess you kind of agree with a lot of my sentiments.
It just wasn't a good show. It was just sort of like, you know, if I'm remembering correctly, you know, the not the show before, but generally the show before the show before the go home show is usually pretty good when it comes to a PLE or a special event or something like that. Of course, we got Friday Night SmackDown tomorrow. You would expect this one to be better than what we get tomorrow. Hopefully I'm wrong about that, because this was a headline show. You did not really need to be there to watch any of this. But that concludes SmackDown, Slick Vic. I say we take a short commercial break for the cause.
Yeah.
Before I do, Vic, I want to show you something. I ordered a couple of ornaments. I don't know if I showed you the ornaments that I order. I always order these ornaments every year. I've got all the video game systems. this year the video game system that's coming out is the Xbox 360, which is really cool. They all play sounds and light up and all that good stuff. By the way, this is not an advertisement for Hallmark keepsake ornaments, but hey, if you want to throw some cash, go for it.
I was going to say, we got this isn't sponsored, but hit us up, definitely. Yeah.
I've got a couple. I had ordered a couple for this year. There were really only 2 that piqued my interest, and a lot of times I go for the ones that play music and light up or do something cool or look really good, and they're not cheap. For a Christmas ornament, you're talking 30, 40, 50 bucks. But I got this one. My Xbox 360 hasn't came in yet. I think I'm expecting that one to come in either tomorrow or Saturday. But I got this one in the mail, and this one is super sweet. And it hits all the feels, if you know what I mean, Slick Vic. And I'll show you the box, if you can see.
Oh, look at that.
A little blurry, but you know what? Screw the box. We're going to take a look at the actual thing here. Got him out of the box.
Hero of Time.
This is not the Hero of Time.
Not yet. No, it's not. It's the hero from the OG game, because I can tell by the cross.
Yeah. It's the Hero of Hyrule. This is Link from the original Legend of Zelda, as you see there. In all his glory.
He's got the cross. That's going on your Christmas tree this year?
It is going on the Christmas tree, but like I said, this is see. Let's get some of this action going. Got the batteries in. There's a little button right here. It plays the title theme.
Oh, that is so sweet.
The only thing I don't like, it doesn't play the entire song. It gets like halfway through this part, and then it cuts him off.
Aw. That's really sweet, though.
But it plays...
Yeah.
It plays enough of it that it's still cool. Like, see, it cuts off right there, but like, oh, I love it. I got so many of these sweet, like, keepsake ornaments, and this is actually one that, it's, you know, they put the date, the year on the box for when they released. This came out this year, 2025, but from what I understand reading on the box there, this was released some odd number of years ago, and you know, when they release them, they don't always bring them back. So, but this was sort of like a vault item that was very popular, and because of that, they decided to bring it back this year for a limited run, and I couldn't pass it up, obviously. You know me and Zelda. So, good stuff, Slick Vic. Good stuff. And when I get the 360 ornament in, we'll reveal that right here on Wrestling with Power as well. Make sure you tune in on YouTube. Last week's episode, I did a little testing of something. I uploaded the audio only to Spotify instead of the video and the audio. I want to sort of separate all of our social media outlets and where you can find the video and the audio. And, you know, Spotify, you go to Spotify to listen to stuff. You go to YouTube to watch stuff. You go to Twitch to see stuff live. So we're hitting all the right notes here as far as I'm concerned. Now we're going to be bringing you Monday Night Raw, and actually, Slick Vic is going to be bringing you Raw once again this week. So take it away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mosley. We have Monday Night Raw from October the 27th, 2025, coming at you from Anaheim, California. The show starts off with Jey Uso yeeting his way to the ring. He runs it back, and everyone is yeeting again. Is Jey acknowledging any of the internet gossip? He says everyone and their mama is in his ear and says, you know, but he says he doesn't care what they think about him. Or maybe I'm the one overthinking this. And then CM Punk's music hits, and he comes out. Everyone is, or some people in the crowd are singing Cult of Personality. Punk runs it back, and Cult of Personality plays again, although very briefly. This would have been really, really cool, very memorable if they actually were in front of a crowd that actually knew the words, because Anaheim didn't really care much for Cult of Personality. Anyways, so Punk cuts a great promo in contrast to what Jey is dealing with. Says he's only listened to himself and he believes in himself. And then Punk says something that I personally completely agree with, which is he congratulates Jey on winning the Battle Royal and even throwing his brother out, which is fine because it's every man for himself. And Punk even admonishes the crowd saying, You don't boo that. It's well within the rules. And Punk respects that. He wants to know how far main event Jey Uso will go because Punk will do whatever it takes to win the title again. Jay has a bit of a fiery response. It's short. Basically says he's not falling for Punk's mind game. Gets out another yeet and leaves. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good segment. I just don't really feel like the chemistry is there. It's almost like Punk has this manipulative Jake the Snake like cerebral delivery that clashes with Jay's street talk and street like trash talk that he has. So I don't know. I mean, I like both. I do like both performers, but it was a little bit of a styles clash for me with the promo delivery. What did you think about this opening segment?
I completely agree. But I would even take it a step further and say that Jey Uso sucks at promos. I don't think Jey Uso's good at promos at all. I think that I won't even say oftentimes. I'll say like pretty much all the time. He seems confused. He stumbles over his words. He just seems like he doesn't know where to go next with his promos. And you've got him in the ring with the best promo in professional wrestling today, and maybe in the last decade, CM Punk. CM Punk is a master of promos.
Yeah.
It's a complete disassociation with each other. Like, it's almost embarrassing. He is way out of his league. I mean, this is T-ball versus the MLB. This is... I look at it as that. Now, I said before, I think that this is a definite CM Punk win. We might get a surprise. Who knows? But promo-wise, I wouldn't... Look, if I was booking this show, I would not put them in the ring together to cut a promo on each other. I just wouldn't do it. Match-wise, I think they'll have a good match. But promo, it's no comparison. So, that's my thoughts.
Have you ever seen The Big Lebowski? Because I feel like
many times.
It's like you're out of your element, Donnie, or you're out of your element, Jay.
yeah. Donnie, you're out of your element, dude.
He's lucky he's got the fans chanting "Yeet" behind him because this was pretty one-sided.
That's all he's got, man. And I hate to say that because I know like a lot of people, and even they've brought it into the actual show where like. He's nothing but an entrance chant. He's nothing but, a yeet. I'm sorry. I don't really see much more to Jey Uso than that. I don't.
Okay.
And I think that's why a lot of people are like, he can't turn heel because he's going to lose the yeet. If he lost the yeet, it shouldn't matter if he's as good as he should be to be a world champion. That should not matter. That should be a plus to his already, whatever he has that makes him that great. But, like, I feel like people are afraid that if he turns heel, he's going to lose that from the crowd. And then he's not going to have anything because, I'm sorry, he doesn't really have much else. He's great in a tag team with his brother. I can't say much more about him.
Okay. Well, let's move on. Backstage, we see the Judgment Day. We got Dominic Mysterio, who is worried about Rusev and Penta. And Raquel Rodriguez says if he wasn't such a habitual cheater, he wouldn't be worried. And Dom says that is heinous because he's never cheated a day in his life. The facial expressions in this segment is what made it for me. You got Raquel, who looks perpetually annoyed. You got Roxanne Perez, who is genuinely worried for Dom. And JD is mad for Dom is mad at Dom for obvious reasons. And Finn goes from smiling to mad, smiling to pissed off. And then they all collectively basically tell Dom that he's on his own. So then what does Dom do? He picks up a phone and he calls somebody, says he needs their help. And we'll get to that later. And this leads us to the number one contenders match for the Intercontinental title. We have Penta versus Rusev. Penta starts off getting in moves like the dive over the top rope, the springboard DDT. Rusev comes back with strikes and splashes. Penta hits a reversal into a backstabber. And then we go to break. After break, Rusev locks in a bear hug. Penta hits a hanging, that hanging kick he does where he like runs at the ropes, then he like does like a lands like upside down, like a handstand on the ropes. I don't know if you caught this. Like Rusev like reached up as if like he was gonna like stop him. It was very bizarre. Yeah, I thought it was weird. Anyways, Rusev eventually hits a Machka kick on an airborne Penta like they did a few weeks ago, but this time Penta kicks out. Penta comes back with very, very aggressive looking Penta driver. And Rusev sold that great. Rusev like got some pretty good height for a man his size too. And that's when Los Americanos came out and caused the double DQ. Other than the ending, I was digging this match. I feel both men have good chemistry. Rusev sold really well and can get some good height for a pretty big guy. Penta looked great as always, and his size doesn't make it look like a mismatch. And we know immediately what kind of match we're getting after the result of this match for the IC title. Anyways, any thoughts on the Judgment Day segment or this Intercontinental title #1 contenders match?
Well, I'll skip right over to the match. And I did think, when he did that Penta driver, props to Rusev. He's a big dude, but he made it look, when he first did it, I was like, oh God, he's gonna break his neck. But I mean, he did it. It was very flush. It was very professionally done, and props to that. As far as the match itself goes, God, what a dumb way to end this match. That's all I could think. The crowd was into it. It had some fair build for a change, and for what time we actually got to see the match, it was pretty decent, like you said. But for me, the ending killed it. El Grande and his two Americanos interfered, caused the DQ. The match was thrown out. There was not even a winner. Like, okay, if it's going to be a DQ, they go in, they attack one guy. The other guy wins via DQ, right? That's just how it goes. In this case, nobody won, which I thought was stupid. Like, if they're going to have one of them win, but they didn't. They just threw it out. And so nobody won. And at this point in the show, and of course we'll find out at some point later, but at this point in the show, I was assuming they'll just make it a triple threat at Saturday night's main event. But personally, I would have much rather seen one of these two win, particularly Penta. I think if Penta had won, I would have bet on him becoming the new champ at Saturday night's main event, but because at this point, again, I think it's going to be a triple threat, it's up in the air. Probably get some more Dom, slithering his way out and keeping the title. Overall, I gave it a 1.5. Quality got a 5, build got a 1. Everything else got a big goose egg, Slick Vic.
I knew immediately once there was a DQ match that they were setting up for a triple threat at Saturday night's main event. Yep. All right, so after this, we got an LA Knight promo, and he cuts a passionate promo, but in character, about despite losing the Battle Royal, he's coming after the winner between Jey Uso and CM Punk. At one point, Knight gets Jackie to laugh, which I thought was kind of funny. I don't know if that was intentional or not. But I'm not entirely sure of his new catchphrase. This whole isness.
Isness, the isness of the business.
Yeah, he said, they have to accept the isness of me. And then later on, the isness of the business. But we'll see if it catches on. I don't know. Any quick thoughts on the isness word?
I don't understand it either, but, I'm here for it. I'm willing to accept it.
It gets a pass because it's L.A. Knight. Yeah. Yeah! Love it. We get a tribute package to Asuka, celebrating 10 years in the WWE. WWE always does a good job with these videos, so if you're an Asuka fan, definitely go out of your way to watch it. And then JD and Finn. JD McDonough and Finn Balor go to Adam Pearce, and they want a tag team title rematch. But Pearce is all pissed off. He's pissed off a lot these days, too, by the way. He's saying that they're already busy tonight because one of them has to face the man they cheated out of the Battle Royal last week, which is Sheamus. And JD steps up and accepts, says he's coming back after he rips off Sheamus's head. Finn Balor smiles and says, "Don't forget, tag team titles." I got a kick out of that. Anyways, I'm sorry, I skipped the promo here where the Bronze are with Heyman. There was like 3 backstage segments there. The Bronze are with Heyman, and Breaker is mad that they are not in the Battle Royal. They were not in the Battle Royal last week. Heyman says that would have pissed off Pierce even more, and instead they should be focusing on LA Knight because that would make the path to the world title clearer. Not entirely sure that makes sense, but we'll run with it. Whatever, I guess, unless I missed something, but okay, sure. Heyman delivered it with such gusto that it, he sold us. We drank the Kool-Aid, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right. So, any thoughts on LA Knight, the Bronze and Heyman, Asuka, or the Judge, JD and Finn?
Of all of that, I do want to talk for just a moment about the Asuka package that came out, because there's some rumblings online that this was specifically a result of something that Goldberg said about Asuka.
Really?
Yeah. Whether it was on Twitter or whatever, or an interview, Goldberg he said something, and I think it was on Twitter because she actually tweeted back in some sort of fashion, but Goldberg specifically, well, not specifically, but in a roundabout way said, "Yeah, they had some girl in WWE beat my streak."
I read that.
And that was completely shitting on Asuka's accomplishments and everything that she's done and who she is by saying, "Oh yeah, some girl." So they had this big package put together, and there's a lot of people that think that that was a result of that. Whether or not it was, I think that this was a clear indication of who Asuka is and where she's been, and a reminder and a refresher, especially for anybody that's maybe a new fan. I've been around for a very long time. I remember when Asuka was undefeated. I remember when she was in NXT and then she came up to the main roster. I remember her first defeat. And Asuka is, it. She is a living legend in the women's division, and that's all we can really say about her, as despite whatever antics that she's doing these days. But yeah, I thought that was interesting, that video package having to do with that. And maybe it was directly referencing, Goldberg still being a little bit bitter, maybe.
There's 2 things I have to say about this. I think Goldberg, according to the stories we've heard over the years from shoot interviews, I don't know how closely you followed shoot interviews over the years, but Goldberg thinks wrestling's real. Like, he really beat all those people for his streak. And second of all, his record was heavily inflated.
Yeah, it was.
Like he'd come back, like it would be like, okay, 1 week later he'd have like 8 more victories added to his record. And I'm like, I don't remember seeing these matches. Was there house shows I missed? No, they weren't even doing house show matches.
Well, see, I think that was sort of part of the illusion back in the day when you didn't have as much access to things like social media and news right in front of your face to kind of spoil it, where they could get away with that. They could get away with lying and inflating it, and little by little by little, blowing it up to this big number. But yeah, I don't know about Goldberg believing that wrestling's real, but I do think that he believed that he was in the upper echelon with any of the greats in professional wrestling history because of the creative decisions that were built into his character. I think that he was a mark for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I watch as many shoot interviews as I can. Past couple of days, in fact, I've been watching a lot of shoot interviews from the year of 2000 of everything from Honky Tonk Man. He had a pretty big string of shoot interviews that year, it's weird to watch because he's like talking about like biker Undertaker and all this stuff that's going on in modern day. But yeah, as far as Goldberg goes, and I'm not critical of Goldberg. I'm a fan of Goldberg. I always loved him coming back, even when the fans were shitting on him. But I think that, I think he has a weird way of looking at things. We'll put it that way.
I just want to say the early 2000s shoot interviews were awesome. Those were like the dirty, grimy era of wrestlers just shitting on each other out of character, which I freaking loved. Before every wrestler had a podcast, you had RF Video and Sean Oliver with kayfabe commentaries. I'm not trying to shill any of their products, but yeah, I loved watching their stuff on YouTube back in the day.
Because that was like the origin of shoot interviews. That's when that was during a time that you still were not supposed to be doing this. Like, you weren't supposed to be doing shoot interviews. Like, so now even, like, and you think of somebody like The Undertaker who, never did a shoot interview, never talked about the business like that. Eventually, he finally came around. Now he's got a podcast spilling the beans all the time. And this was the origin, and I think that's what made it so gritty and dirty and honest, because they weren't following. Like, now shoot interviews are almost scripted. As weird as that sounds. I mean, we got
you're absolutely right. That's a great freaking point.
We got WWE Unreal on Netflix.
Yeah. Taking
you behind the scenes. Yeah. I mean, so now it's a business.
You're absolutely right. This is good. That's good. That's good, man. Man, and it's funny, Undertaker's podcast was in the news a couple weeks ago too, because it's now part of the WWE Collective. So they swapped out his original co-host with Michelle McCool. Which
there was a lot of controversy around that. Yeah, a lot of controversy.
Taker's response was, "If you don't like it, don't listen." I can't say I disagree with that. If you don't like it, don't listen. I have no problem with him saying that, but there's going to be people that say that's not cool to say. It's
not cool, and I think he's lost a lot of fans, at least from his podcast show, because of that. Because, and look, I'm not, so technically savvy on names. I don't know the name of his former podcast host, but I did catch a lot of those clips, and it was good. It was entertaining. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I've watched one clip of him and Michelle McCool doing the podcast. So it's hurt him pretty big, and
it's definitely a different vibe. Definitely a different vibe.
I don't know whose decision that was. I'm sure he went along with it because that's who he has to lay down with every night or whatever. But it was a good podcast before, and went straight downhill, straight down the shitter, so to speak.
Well, after that long sidebar, let's resume back to Monday Night Raw. Coming to you from Anaheim, California. The next match, we have Nikki Bella versus Roxanne Perez. All right, so we got a lot of slapping to start this match from both women, and neither looked good. Like, I don't even know if they connected because maybe they didn't slap their thighs. I don't know. It was just a sloppy mess of slaps. Say that 3 times fast.
No way.
Nikki takes control with a knee to the face and chases Roxanne outside. Roxanne takes over after Raquel interferes. Roxanne hits her double bounce moonsault. See, that's the word, moonsault. We need a moonsault counter tonight. And then she does some Scott Steiner-like push-ups. But that causes Nikki to come back and hit some offense. Anyways, it looks like Nikki's about to win, but then Roxanne counters into the Pop Rocks for the victory. Post-match, the heels attempt to beat up Nikki, but Stephanie Vicaire comes out to even the odds. And the two baby faces have a face-off with Raquel, which I thought was actually kind of funny. Because here you have Raquel, who dwarfs both women by about 6 inches. And you got Nikki trying to put on a very intimidating face, which, laughable. And then Raquel backs off. Honestly, I was surprised that Roxanne won this match. She even got the jabroni entrance. I don't know if you know what I mean by jabroni entrance, where basically she didn't get an entrance. They cut the break after Nikki did her full entrance, and when they came back, Roxanne was already in the ring. Nikki's matches don't really engage me. She's not that interesting of a performer. I know she's got her fans and the crowd pops for her, but I feel like her time has passed. And I'm not trying to say she's past her prime or anything, but she's just from the Divas era, and I don't think she was good back then, and not that great either now. You know, there's so many other women who've surpassed her that she doesn't quite fit in. Luckily, she didn't completely miss that disaster kick this time. And I don't know what to make of Roxanne just yet. She's still fairly new to the main roster, and she's not being treated like a big star the way Stephanie Vicaire is, but that could change in 6 to 12 months. We'll see. Well, I am captivated to hear Mr. Mosley's thoughts on Nikki Bella versus Roxanne Perez.
Well, you know, I'll second those sentiments on Nikki Bella. I think that the only thing that I can make of her being there right now is that they're trying to get the current roster over a little bit by having a quote-unquote legend in there with them. I think they got the Hall of Famer. I think they got the wrong one. You know, and props to Nikki Bella. I mean, she's, you know, she comes back, she's wrestling with these gals, but it's a clear distinction between the two generations, which I'll mention here in a moment. I want to talk about Roxanne for a second. I think Roxanne is really good. Maybe better than any other woman of her size on the roster. And Roxanne is a small gal, but I think 1v1, her with anybody of a similar size, I mean, takes the cake. She's good. Pairing her with Nikki in this one just shows the drastic difference between the quality of work between Nikki's generation and the current generation of women wrestlers. Considering that, Nikki does decent. She just always seems a bit too rehearsed, which I think is, again, a holdover from her era. And side note, I thought that was going to be a problem with AJ Lee when she came back, because she's from that era. I thought that she would seem a bit too rehearsed, a bit too fake. She did really well. So, considering that, you know, like I said, I don't think Nikki's the one. I think, what happened to fucking AJ Lee, by the way? Where's she at? She just chilling in Chicago, eating pizza? Eating fucking Giordano's every day? I don't know. What is she doing?
I love that you name drop Giordano's there, pal.
Oh, it's... But I'll name drop them any day. Send me a couple free pizzas this way.
Man, you got. Do you like deep dish pizza?
I love it. It's my favorite kind of pizza. Ever since I came to Chicago and had it for the first time, every single time I'm up there, I make it a point. I have to have a deep dish pizza. Giordano's is still my favorite, but that one that's close to our good friends Hyrule Castle is so good. What is that place called, man? It's just in it's like in a little strip mall. We went there and picked up a bunch of pizzas one time, and it's like in a little strip mall, and it's fantastic. It's so good.
Man, I don't know if I was there that day at Hyrule Castle.
Well, it's been several years now. It's our good buddy's favorite place to get pizza. It's oh man, what's it called? I don't know. We'd give them a shout out right now if I could think of their name, but since we can't, we'll just say, you know, Giordano's is the one to beat. Yeah. And I've had what's the other one? There's two big wigs. There's Giordano's and
Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's. I've had Lou Malnati's.
Okay.
It's good. It's not better than Giordano's in my opinion, but that's not the one in the strip mall. The one in the strip mall is just ran by like Indians or something. It's it's crazy, but it's
independent chain.
It's an independent chain, but it's very, very good. But yeah,
but I don't live in Hyrule Castle, so I can't tell you.
Yeah. All I can say is, you know, I've had a lot of pizza in a lot of different places. I've been to Italy. I've had pizza in Italy. Yeah. Pizza in Italy is complete.
You've been to Italy?
Yeah, I've been to Italy. Yeah.
Man, what was that?
I'm jet flying, limousine rolling, Kids stealing. I went to Italy in it was after I graduated high school, um, which I graduated in 2007. So it would have been 2000 between 2007 and 2008. It was on a tour that was organized by one of the teachers at my high school. But if you were somebody who was currently attending or had previously attended, you could still go. You just had to come up with the money. It was like $3,000, and it paid for everything. Meals per day or whatever. Anyway, long story short, I went to Italy. I ate a lot of pizza there. Pizza in Italy is completely different. It's not greasy. It's not salty. It's not sweet. It tastes very natural, like they just use like natural ingredients and everything. So like if you're a fan of pizza in America, you're probably not going to like it when you get over to Italy. It's not the same.
I'm jealous. My wife and I would love to go to Italy and try their pizza.
Well,
amongst other things.
I can't tell you much about the pizza. I had McDonald's there too, and it was kind of weird. The gelato is really good. I mean, you'll hear a lot about gelato, and it's the best ice cream you'll ever eat. I stand by that. But I've been to, like, we went to the Vatican, we went to Florence, we went to Assisi, went to, Rome, obviously, and the Vatican, the Colosseum, and all that. So it was a wonderful trip. But like I say, as far as pizza goes, it's not like, you go to Italy, you want to eat the pizza because it's going to be the best pizza you ever ate. It's probably not going to be because you're used to American pizza. But I can say this about Italy. It is the most beautiful place I've ever been. Hands down. Like, you see pictures, they don't do it justice. It'll blow your mind. It's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, and having been to Italy, let me give props to Giordano's, and again, send me a couple extra pizzas this way, down south to Kentucky, by the way, if you will. Giordano's deep dish is my favorite pizza on the planet. Chicago deep dish, by far.
Same.
By far.
I'm a little partial because, hey, I'm from Chicago, but so
Yeah.
I love that deep dish pizza. I have arguments with coworkers because I have a coworker from Detroit, and he likes he talks about how he does not like deep dish pizza. His excuse is, I want a pizza, not a casserole.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I like my pizza with mountains of cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. Detroit has their own style.
Cheese.
Yeah. So he likes Detroit style, or he likes New York style? Like, what's his?
He says he likes Detroit style, and I'm trying to, and I don't exactly know what Detroit style is. There's a chain called Jets Pizza. I don't know if there's any by you.
No.
Jets Pizza is supposedly Detroit style pizza. I think it's just like a flaky crust. New York is very thin crust, I think.
I always thought that Detroit style was sort of like a pan pizza with a little bit, it's not as thick as deep dish. It's about half the size of deep dish, but they got like the crispy edges around.
Yeah.
That's what I always think when I think of Detroit style. But, Detroit's a distant third when it comes to pizza, as far as I'm concerned. You got New York, which is the pizza that everybody makes. And then you got deep dish, which is Chicago. And you cannot get that many places. Unless you go to Chicago, you cannot get good deep dish anywhere. There's one place local to me that makes deep dish, and it's fairly decent, but it doesn't hold a candle to being in the native land.
Man, all this talk of pizza is just making me hungry.
Yeah, I might have to fire up some mozzarella sticks.
I've got plenty, actually.
Yeah.
All right, let's return back to some Monday Night Raw, or pizza. I mean wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling with pizza.
Wrestling with pizza. All right, so we just finished wrapping up talking about the Nikki Bella and Roxanne Perez match. Afterwards, we got a couple of promos here. We got Bayley and Lyra have another wacky promo. I don't know if it's just me, but is Lyra starting to go nuts too? I used to look forward to these crazy Bailey promos, but now I'm kind of losing interest. I feel like the last few weeks have just kind of been like a lull in the storyline, if there is a storyline. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we got Jey Uso walking backstage, and he bumps into Jimmy. Jimmy is still mad about getting thrown out last week. His reasoning was kind of questionable. It's supposed to be every man for himself, but they were going to team up until the end, I guess. I mean, all right, we're going to be friends until the end? This is child's play? Whatever. Any thoughts on these two ridiculous promos?
As far as the Lyra, I think maybe Bailey is driving her crazy a little bit, but I still fully expect. I wanted to say anticlimactic, but I don't think that's the proper verbiage to use. I think that we're sort of in limbo right now with the whole Bailey thing. She came back. We finally see what she is now. She's a multiple personality disorder type person going on. And they're just sort of spinning their wheels until, apparently, according to SmackDown, we're going to get a championship match. So, we'll see what happens when that happens. But I think this is heading towards a Bailey versus Lyra feud. And who knows what's going to happen there? I don't know. I'm kind of lost on it, too. As far as the Usos backstage arguing, I don't know. The segment seems to indicate that we may get an Uso versus Uso match in the near future. Or, there's going to be some kind of dissension. And I didn't think that was happening a couple of weeks ago. I thought we were getting the Usos back. They were going to be in a tag team. It was going to be, everything was going to be fine. But they're starting to go the other way with it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this is all, we're in limbo mode right now with all of this.
We're stuck in purgatory?
Yes. I wish I was stuck in purgatory with that.
Amen. Anyways. All right, so we got Braun Breaker versus LA Knight. So Knight starts off aggressive with several strikes, but as he Irish whips Breaker into the ropes, Breaker, he holds the turbo button on the he holds L1 on the controller, and he speeds up and clotheslines the shit out of LA Knight. But Knight comes back with a crossbody for a 2, and it looks like Breaker is going to hit an inverted atomic drop into something behind the back, but Knight counters into a sunset flip. Breaker hits a running tiger knee. I love calling that tiger knee. I don't know if the commentator's calling it, but for my Street Fighter fans out there, tiger knee.
Tiger.
Anyways. And then he overhead belly-to-belly suplexes Knight over the top rope and hits the flying shoulder tackle outside the ring, which always looks good. The man's acceleration is just unreal. But don't sleep on LA Knight, though. He comes back with a great jumping neckbreaker, drops the elbow drop, hits the megaplex, which I didn't know they had a name. I guess they have a name for that now. Where LA Knight just runs and then leaps onto the top rope and then superplexes his opponent. We always pray that he doesn't botch it because he's done it a few times. So, the megaplex. Knight takes out Bronson Reed, and it looks like Knight is cooking, as the kids say. He reverses the press slam into a DDT. He tries the top rope elbow drop, but Breaker kips up and moves out of the way. Knight also recovers, but gets hit with a huge spear for the win. Now, this might have been the best match I think these two guys ever had. They went out there and both were firing on all cylinders, hitting big moves after big moves. And the ending sequence was tremendous. Highly enjoyable match. Braun is continuing to live up to the hype that Heyman keeps selling us. And LA Knight is out there hanging in there and continuing to impress. I'd love to see Knight one day be a world champion, even if it's a short run, because he's just great. He's just that great in the ring. He's not just a great talker, but this match proved that he can back it up in the ring. Obviously, Braun Breaker is a future world champion, but I hope one day LA Knight gets his moment in the sun as well. Your thoughts, Mr. Mosley?
A lot of my notes just echo what you just said, and I took some play-by-play for this match too. First note, Breaker speed is always awesome to see. and you referenced that. It's an incredibly fast running clothesline to knot. I think it's good because both men have a similar heavyweight skill set of big power moves, a wide array of offense, and even some high-flying attacks. That was all on display during this match. The Megaplex that you mentioned, I have in my notes, Knot hits the Megaplex, which is always a clincher to watch. That's when you clench your butt cheeks real tight when it happens, you know what I mean? Because you think it's going to go badly.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Despite that, despite the momentary distraction by Reed, I would call this a clean win, considering the distraction had no effect on Knot's momentum. That considered, I'm indifferent about this outcome. I think I would have rather seen Knot win, and think that it would have been the better option, as it wouldn't have hurt Breakker to lose to a veteran here, but would have done so much to keep Knot's place in the main event going. At the same time, Breakker is the real deal, and I could legitimately see him beating LA Knot in a contest. I gave this 3 gigawatts, half for build, 1 for quality, half for memorable moments, half for emotion, and half for result. And that's a total of 3. I want to back up for just a moment because I did give some gigawatts to Nikki Bella and Roxanne Perez too. Half for build, half for quality, and 1 for result. So just to back up a little bit, but coming back forward here, this got a 3 gigawatts. Pretty solid match.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a pair of backstage segments here. We got Adam Pearce. He finally finds Dominic Mysterio. And the triple threat match for Saturday night's main event is made official. Dom replies with "No habla inglés." Jimmy Uso is now walking around backstage and he bumps into Jay. Like, were they just walking around aimlessly backstage since their last promo? Like, seriously, like...
It seems like it, yeah.
Taking laps around the building and then hoping they, meet up with one another. But anyways, Jay patches things up with Jimmy. They shake hands or they do their little handshake, and they're cool. So, good. And then we have a match now. We have J.D. McDonough versus Sheamus. The Battle of the Irishmen. By the way, do you like Guinness?
I drank it a lot when I was in Italy, to go back to that. They had it... Listen, they had vending machines in nearly everywhere that I was that had booze in it. But most of it was Guinness. I drank Guinness the entire week. I found one Budweiser, and it was a Bud Heavy. That's what I call Budweiser. Bud Heavy. Okay. And it was a tall boy Budweiser. But the rest of the week, I was drinking Guinness. So, yeah, I like it. I don't buy it on the regular, but I will drink it.
Okay. My wife turned me on to Guinness because she was drinking Guinness a lot. And there was a point where the only thing left in the fridge was Guinness. And I was like, all right, let me try Guinness. And I'm like, oh, this is actually not bad, I can get behind it. Because a dark beer is not really my go-to.
I don't like the extra stout or anything. Regular Guinness is good, but the extra stout,
That's interesting, man. They had Guinness in vending machines in Italy.
They had Guinness they had Guinness. They had something else too. I can't think of what it was. A green bottle. It was green. I was really drunk. I don't remember.
Well, anyways, we have our Battle of the Irishmen, J.D. McDonough and Sheamus. J.D. is bumping around like a ping pong ball for Sheamus. I've mentioned this before, and I've come to really appreciate J.D.'s work. J.D. just... He hit this one sweep with both legs from the apron, which I thought looked kind of cool. And JD does a good job keeping the pressure on Sheamus, making it look like he's wearing the big man down. He hits a springboard moonsault, the outside a 450 splash. But then Sheamus starts hulking up, like literally. Like he tells JD to keep kicking and slapping him over and over and over, and Sheamus just no-sells it. Sheamus then comes back and hits the Irish Curse, then the Rolling Senton, and then hits the 10 beats of the Bowdrin. I don't know if I'm saying Bowrin. JD avoids the bro kick, but takes a razor's edge, which I think they call it the Celtic Cross. But Finn sneakily drapes JD's leg on the ropes to break up the fall. So Sheamus goes after Finn. But when he gets back after JD, Finn hits Sheamus with the shillelagh. And then JD hits a freaking Spanish fly for the win. First of all, impressive ending. JD continues to shine in his matches for Raw. JD has become, like I've said this last week, the unsung hero of Monday Night Raw. And Sheamus can still go. He still looks great. You know, he's getting up there in age, but he still looks great, and he can still go. I was really surprised he took a Spanish fly at the end. I mean, are you kidding me? This is a move usually reserved for luchadors and lighter dudes, but you got big old Sheamus taking a Spanish fly from JD. Good stuff here. I enjoyed this match immensely. What about you? Do you share my sentiment, or was this the shits, brother?
No, I share your sentiment. I thought it was a big win for JD. I thought it was well deserved, despite the help from Balor. Again, JD is the unsung hero, like you said, of Monday Night Raw, and he deserves this win. Can't help but say I would have liked to see Sheamus win instead. But you know, Sheamus coming back, I just I have a soft spot for Sheamus. But JD definitely could have used the win more. Plus, this sets up a possible Balor versus Sheamus, and I would love to see that match. It's got a 3 gigawatts on the scale, Slick Vic. Quality 1, memorable moments 0.5, emotion 0.5, and result 1.
Excellent. So backstage, we have a rather composed Adam Pearce for once. He's talking to Maxine Dupree. He's saying she earned a rematch for the women's title, and he's putting over strong how proud he is of her and whatnot. But Maxine says she first wants to call a friend to see if she is prepared. Who can that be? Is it shush? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
Who is Maxine gonna call? I mean, seriously, it's part of the Alpha Academy, but the leader of the Alpha Academy was ousted for being kind of a not so cool dude, not so good dude. And then he started wearing a mask, I think, or he loaned El Grande Americano his mask, his boots.
Yeah. And his tattoo.
He loaned him his tattoo, yeah. So we'll see. I don't know if our boy Chad is coming back soon or not.
I hope so.
Yeah. So we got another backstage segment here. I'm gonna go through these 3 backstage segments and see if you have anything to add. That was the first one. The second one, we got Charlotte and Alexa. They say they're ready for Bayley and Lyra, but then the Kabuki Warriors interrupt, saying they should be challenging for the titles. Charlotte basically says, bring it. Asuka does a lot of cackling. Kairi opens up her umbrella and holds it like a shield before being called away by Asuka. And then third, we got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee. They were talking to Pierce. They want worthy opponents. And in walks JD and Finn saying they want their rematch. Adam Pearce objects at first because JD cheated against Sheamus, but AJ and Dragon Lee say, let's do this. And it's now official. Next week for the Tag Team Championship, we got AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough and Finn Balor. Do you have anything you want to say about these 3 segments?
Huh.
Go ahead.
Why couldn't this have been a match made for Saturday night?
Excellent point there.
That's the only thing that I was thinking. Why make it for next week? We have 4 matches on the Saturday night's main event card, unless that's all there's going to be. When we did the SmackDown review just a little while ago, there were a couple of matches made for next week's SmackDown. Now we get another match made for next week's Raw. I mean, are we forgetting about Saturday night's main event here, or I don't know.
Well, it's main event time, Mr. Mosley, for Raw in Anaheim. We got Charlotte, Flair, and Alexa. They still don't have a tag team. I don't know if they should have had do you think they should have had a tag team name at this point? They should have just called themselves We're Not Friends. But anyways.
That's a good one.
Charlotte and Alexa versus Lyra, Valkyria, and Bailey, who also do not have a tag team name. That's fine. Whatever. I'm just being a little cheeky. Whatever. First of all, both Lyra and Charlotte woo.
Woo!
Woo! Seriously, Lyra does her entrance and starts wooing with her woo.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Charlotte woos throughout her match.
You know, I'm always down for a good woo.
Yeah.
You know, nothing beats a good woo. Yeah. Especially when it comes from the man himself.
Woo! You gotta have W with 5 O's. I believe that's the one he trademarked.
Minimum 5. And then you gotta send him $100.
So the match starts with Charlotte and Lyra doing a lot of chain wrestling and exchanging woos. Can I get another woo, please?
Yeah.
Woo! And we go to break and we come back and Alexa hit a double DDT on both on Lyra and Bailey. And she tags Charlotte in, who chops both girls. A fall-away slam to both girls. And then a moonsault to both of them. Again, another moonsault. And that's when it hit me. Did every show have a did every match have a moonsault? I swear to God, JD hit a moonsault. I'm going to go back for a second. Well, LA Knight and Braun Breaker did not have a moonsault. Roxanne Perez hits a moonsault. I have to rewatch it, but pretty sure Penta hits a moonsault.
There were a lot of moons.
Yeah.
Many moons.
Many moons. Yeah. If only Stephanie Vicaire came out, but we'll skip that for another day.
I digress.
But I digress. Anyways, God, where was I? All right, yeah. Charlotte moonsaults both of them, and that's when. Then eventually Bailey gets the tag, and she's a house of fire, hitting several strikes and elbow drops. Hits the Bailey to belly on Charlotte, but she kicks out. Charlotte tries a figure 8, but Lyra makes the save. Alexa comes in, hits Sister Abigail, but Bailey makes the save. Lyra hits Nightwing on Alexa. Charlotte makes the save. Now, we got some really good action here. I don't know if my tone sounded, negative there, but no, I was really enjoying this. Good stuff here. Bailey starts chopping the shit out of Charlotte, but Charlotte hits a big boot and locks in the figure 8. Well, sort of, because the leg she uses to hook was not quite onto Bailey there. But Lyra comes in and stops the tap by holding Bailey's arm, and and she gets a twisted bliss for her efforts. A natural selection from Charlotte gets the pin on Bailey. Post-match, the Kabuki Warriors come in and attack Charlotte and Alexa before running off. Thoughts? I honestly didn't know who would win this match because they were building up Bailey and Lyra for a while. Yeah, but Charlotte and Alexa are still doing their thing, and while I've been critical on the booking of Charlotte as a babyface, she looked fantastic out here. She really stood out the most. Good match here. The last third of the match, I'd even say it was great. What did you think of this main event here, Mr. Mosley?
Well, I completely agree. This was a fantastic match. We've been doing the ratings, the gigawatts, the Mosley side of things, and Slick Vic, you have yet to come up with your own rating scale. I'm anxiously awaiting that to happen. But I got looking back in my notes to see what the highest score that I've given a match so far was, and it was a 3.5. Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov got a 3.5. This match got a 3.5. So, within the past 2 weeks, 4 different shows, a lot of matches. This is the second only to get the high score that I've given it. It was fantastic. It was a really, really solid match. Build got a 0.5. Quality 1, obviously. Everybody in this match is top tier. Emotion got a 1. And result got a 1. So a lot of emotion in this one, man. with holding her arm so she wouldn't tap out, to just everything that was going on, the result, it was the right result. But I thought that Lyra and Bayley really did very well here. And I know I was critical of Lyra a few months ago. She's growing on me a little bit. I think she's got a ways to go still. Some of her stuff still looks kind of weak, but it's not as obvious in these tag team matches for sure. So 3.5 gigawatts for this WWE Women's Championship title match. Great way to end the show. Great way to end the show.
Yep. That concludes Monday Night Raw. Mr. Mosley, do you have anything else to add? Or shall we move on to the next segment? Or shall we take another commercial break?
We will take a commercial break here in just a moment. I just want to say, Raw was fantastic. I thought Raw was really good this week.
Definitely better than SmackDown.
Oh God! Well, I mean, it goes without saying. SmackDown was the grisly shits this week, or maybe even the drizzling shits this week.
The drizzling shits.
It wasn't great. Raw this week. I won't say it's the best Raw that I've seen in recent memory, because we've had some pretty good shows here lately. But it was, as far as match quality, definitely good, really good. I wish that SmackDown had lived up to that moniker. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and we'll obviously have that review for you next Thursday. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed Raw. I thought it was fantastic.
Excellent. Well, it's that time again, folks. Unfortunately, we have to pause for this commercial interruption for our lovely sponsors. The ones that like to find us at Wrestling with Power at gmail.com.
Nobody ever Gmails us. It's okay. You can find us at facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower as well. As well as our other
DMs, baby.
Yeah,
Slide
get
into our DMs, baby. Hit the bionic elbow. Hit the bionic elbow on that DM.
Do that Scorpion, aka Tekken woman that I don't know, leg scissors into our DMs. But Nina Williams. But yeah, we're going to come back here in just a few moments with the main event of the evening. This has turned out to be a hell of a show, but we still got more to go, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be doing Slick Vic's picks for Saturday night's main event after these words. Welcome back, everybody. We're back from that slick commercial break right into... if you're done sliding into our DMs, we're going to slide right on to Slick Vic's picks for Saturday night's main event. That is November the 1st, 2025. It's coming up in a couple of days. It's 11:59 p.m. on the East Coast right now, so in a few seconds, actually, we will be one short day away from Saturday night's main event. And as of right now, and again, we'll reiterate, there's 4 matches on this card. There's been several matches made, as you saw with the SmackDown review and the Raw review, several matches made between these two shows, but they skipped over Saturday night's main event for some reason. So it begs the question, will there be any more matches made? If there are, there's only one more stop to make before that happens, and that's tomorrow night on Friday Night SmackDown, Halloween night, actually. And if there are any matches made on that Friday Night SmackDown, we will make a post on our Facebook page to let you guys know what Slick Vic's pick is for said match. But as of right now, and again, there are 4 matches on this card, and I'm going to go ahead and let Slick Vic take it away. He's got the crystal ball over there. The spider's gone, so he can safely reach over to grab the crystal ball and consult as we delve into this week's Slick Vic's picks. We got to get into this. I want to hear a metal cover of that.
All right. I know our longtime listeners are ready to feast or famine, rather, regarding Slick Vic's picks. Man,
Did you say Vince's picks?
I got tongue tied there. I was like,
Vince Russo's
what?
picks?
Not really. Yeah, sure.
This one's for all the juggalos and juggalettes.
Don't try this at home, and I hope you like it.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. Anyways, so
shit.
this is Slick Vic's picks for Saturday night's main event for November the 1st, 2025. So, as Mosley mentioned, we've only got 4 matches announced. I will give my pick for the 5th match if there is one announced on SmackDown. But right now, we got 4 matches. We don't have an order for the matches, so I'm just going to randomly start. So I think we're going to start with Dominic Mysterio versus Penta versus Rusev. And the crystal ball says Dominic Mysterio is going to retain. Now, this just might be my opinion, but Dom's heel work this last month or two is very entertaining. The cowardly heel who gets away from a killer like Rusev or a badass like Penta has been done before, but has it been done this well? This has been a lot of fun to watch, and I hope it continues. Plus, the crowd really loves Dom. Dom is like a de facto babyface. This man last year was mercilessly booed out of every building, but now the man is getting cheered. Why is that? I said it before because he doesn't have any women in his corner anymore. But yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, traditionally, if you're trying to be over, you don't want a hot woman in your corner because they're going to get more over than you. That's wrestling 101. So he hasn't had Liv by his side. I don't know, Vic. I think that a lot of people are just taking to Dom. I'm still kind of on the outside of that fence right now. I've not made the jump just yet. But, yeah, I can see why he's one of the more over characters on the roster right now.
Shall I move on to the next match, or do you want to give your pick for this match?
Well, you know, I'll say, Vic, that I have to agree with this. I think Dom's going to do some more tactics to weasel his way out of this, and then maybe it's going to carry on. Because if either of the other two opponents win, then it ends, right? Dom's heel tactics end. The feud between Rusev and Penta, Rusev and Dom ends. I'm not sure that it ends at this particular event. And as I said before, if the match between Rusev and Penta had went one way or the other, then I would have been leaning more towards the contender here. But in this case, triple threat, I got to give it to Dom. I agree with you.
All right. Well, so our next match, again, I don't have the order here, but I'm going to go with Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton for the, I guess it would be the SmackDown. It's not called the
WWE Women's Championship.
Thank you very much. All right, so my choice, Slick Vic's picks. The crystal ball is looking me right in the eye and is telling me Jade Cargill goes over Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany's reign feels like it's run its course. Jade has come back as a heel. She's got a new look, a fresh paint of coat, if you will. I think now is the time to switch the belts. At some point, I think Jade is going to have to feud with Bianca Belair whenever she comes back. But yeah, I truly think that Tiffany Stratton's reign is run its course. Not that it was a terrible reign or anything, but it's just now time, and I think it makes sense. You've got Jade Cargill as a heel. It reminds me of when Naomi went heel. So, yeah, I am picking Jade Cargill to win this match. Do you have a pick, Mr. Mosley?
Well, and I know that we previously discussed this, Slick Vic, and originally when we discussed this, I picked Penta to win. This is talking about the last match. I picked Penta to win. But after some careful thought and consideration, again, I agree with you on that one with Dom. As far as the WWE Women's Championship between Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill, man, I think that Jade winning this match would be big. I think it would be big news. I think it would be big for her. I think that you're right as far as Tiffany Stratton's title reign has run its course. I'm just a little bit hesitant about how Jade Cargill carries herself as women's champion when we've been somewhat critical of her for being green or being Jade as of late.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, she's definitely no Mortal Kombat Jade. That, God almighty, don't go up against her in UMK3. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to say that Tiffany retains due to some shenanigans. Something's going to happen. Tiffany's going to retain. I think we drag this out a little bit more, even though I'm really pulling towards the Jade side. I'm going to go against the grain here and just call the other way just for the sake of calling the other way.
Okay. Just like WrestleMania, you think Tiffany's still going to retain, huh?
I think Tiffany might retain because I think we can get some more mileage out of this. I don't think it has to end at this event, especially, considering the 4 matches on the card. You got to look at the 4 matches on the card. And, of course, we'll get to the other 2. There's a vacant World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, we're going to be crowning a new World Heavyweight Champion. The WWE Championship is on the line. Poor old Drew McIntyre. I don't think anybody's pulling for him to win that one. The Intercontinental title, it's kind of up in the air. So how many big moments do you want to have at a Saturday night's main event? It's not a PLE, it's a special event, but I'm just going to go with Tiffany for the sake of going with the opposition here, Slick Vic.
Okay. Third match, I've got CM Punk versus Jey Uso. I actually, the crystal ball has actually been giving me mixed signals about this match, to be honest with you. It's kind of like it's kind of telling me like it's shooting me one direction or the other, depending on how many rupees I feed it.
There's sort of a cloud of judgment in there, if you will.
This crystal ball's, talking about what's that Macho Man quote? It's like, unjustifiably in a position I'd rather not be in.
Yeah.
Anyways, I am picking CM Punk over Jey Uso. I was starting to go back and forth with this match, but I'm sticking with my guns. CM Punk. He can hold it while the Vision feuds with him, and then when Seth Rollins is healthy enough to come back, he has to decide who he hates more. Does CM Punk's hatred for CM Punk worse, brew or burn worse? Burn is actually the more appropriate term because, burn it down. Does it burn more for his hatred for the Vision, or does it burn more for CM Punk? So I am picking CM Punk to win this match and win the vacant World's Heavyweight Championship. What say you, Mr. Mosley? Who is going to win the vacant title?
I said this from day one-ish. It's got to be CM Punk. Whenever Punk won that belt and beat Gunther, people were going crazy. And after Seth Rollins came back and cashed in on him, after he had fooled everyone faking an injury, even Jim Cornette fooled him. I think that a lot of people were feeling sorry for CM Punk because they wanted to see this title run. That compounded with the fact that I did not buy Jey as a world champion before. I'm not going to buy him as a world champion now. I think that is sort of maybe down the road, maybe as he evolves a little bit more, but not at this point in time. I think we need CM Punk to have this championship. A lot of people want to see him with it. A lot of people want to see the run. And I have to go with CM Punk as well. I don't think that there's, if Jey Uso wins this one, consider me shocked. I don't think that it's in the cards for Jey Uso whatsoever to win this belt.
Same. I would be absolutely shocked if Jey wins. But moving along to the other, this is the WWE World Championship. We got Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. Now, you mentioned this earlier. You're like, I don't think Drew has a supporter in sight or whatever you said, but I actually want Drew to win this match. But I just can't see Cody losing the world title here. There has at least been more build here than their match at WrestlePalooza. But no, I just don't see it happening. I think Cody wins, and these two wrestlers move on to various feuds. I actually wrote down who I think what happens to each wrestler post Saturday night's main event. Jacob Fatu's out with an injury, so maybe Drew faces Randy Orton. And do they rush one of the Brawns to the main event? Do they save Braun? I mean, Braun Breaker is clearly destined for a world title. I don't know if WrestleMania is going to be where his crowning achievement, because do we crown a heel as the world champion, or maybe they're going to do the whole Batista Triple H thing where
Yeah.
I don't know. So, anyways, I'm thinking too far ahead. For Saturday, I'm thinking Cody goes over Drew McIntyre. What about you?
I don't think you're thinking too far ahead at all. I agree with you, and it's not until this very moment that I'm thinking about it. I would rather Drew win this one as well. I don't think it's going to happen. If I have to have a pick, I'm saying Cody Rhodes. I think they're going to stay the course. But yeah, I think it would be much more exciting if Drew won this match. Put it on the heel, put it on Drew, then they can continue this Jacob Fatu fiasco. Whereas if Cody wins, then the Jacob Fatu injury and all of the things that surround that are just sort of still, festering. Let's say that Drew was the guy that took out Jacob. Okay? And I said earlier I don't think he was. But let's say that he was. He wins the title here, and then he comes out on SmackDown the following week and says, yeah, I took out Jacob Fatu, and look where I got. I won the title. I'm the man. And then Cody can, I think that there's more mileage to get out of the current feuds that they have going, even with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre going forward. I don't see it happening because, WWE. But I would rather see Drew win it. I would. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Cody Rhodes wins and keeps the championship, and then whatever happens after that is up in the air.
Well, the only disagreement we have is for the women.
Yep. It's the only disagreement we have.
I was wrong about this when they had their match at WrestleMania, but I am sticking to my guns. I think Jade finally prevails against Tiffany at Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, and I really want to agree with you on that, but I'm just going to, because I don't want to agree with you on everything, Slick Vic. We got to introduce some, back and forth here, if you will. And,
no, I 100% agree.
So that's why I'm picking her.
It's funny because when we were both texting prior to this show, I gave you my picks, and then you gave me your picks. And my first initial reaction to your picks was you just you chose a babyface to win every single match. And I was like, I don't think they'll do that. I don't think every single babyface is going to prevail on a big show like Saturday night's main event.
Well, that's a very good and astute observation, Slick Vic. I didn't notice. I was just kind of going with what I thought at the time, And again, I've had some time to think about it. I actually changed one of my picks. Originally, originally I said Penta would win the Intercontinental Championship, and I'm still hopeful that that happens. I want to see Penta with the title. I think he deserves it. I just don't think it's going to happen. And same thing with Cody Rhodes. I'd rather see Drew win. I just don't think it's going to happen. Jade Cargill. I would rather see Jade Cargill win. I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's me. I don't have a crystal ball. You do. You're the expert when it comes to these picks. That's why it's Slick Vic's picks and not Mr. Mosley's picks or musings or whatever you want to call it. But I think with that, Slick Vic, we're locked in. You say WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes wins over Drew McIntyre and retains. The vacant World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk wins versus Jey Uso. Intercontinental title, triple threat. Dirty Dom, the champion, versus Rusev and Penta. You're picking Dirty Dom to go over and retain. And then the WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton, you say it's over for her. And Jade Cargill is the new sheriff in town when it comes to that title.
Yes. Lock that in, because those are my picks.
Locked and loaded. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we will add any other matches to Slick Vic's picks if they happen tomorrow night's SmackDown. We will post that on the Facebook page. But for right now, they are locked in. We're going to leave that with a little bit of theme music here once again as we put the crystal ball back in its rightful position. It has served him well in recent memory. I think it will continue to do so going forward.
It's really good music. I love it. Any followers of Wrestling with Power play A Link to the
Past? And ladies and gentlemen, I did try to go in, and Vic said at one point in time, he said, this is the only game where this theme plays, and this is the only part in the game where it plays. That's true, but it's not the only game. This theme also plays in A Link Between Worlds, which originally started out as a complete remake of A Link to the Past. It then eventually became its own game, but still had the fortune teller. I went back and listened to the theme from that game, which is an updated version. It's not as good. So we're not going that route. We're going old school here with some A Link to the Past, one of the greatest Zelda games ever made in many, many, many people's opinion.
I'm one of those people.
Yes, and I can't disagree with that. It is a fantastic. It wrote the blueprint for what Zelda became going forward from that game. So, fantastic game, fantastic theme song, fantastic picks from Slick Vic here, and with that. That is our main event, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try to play some Mortal Kombat, but before we do that, I think we're going to go ahead and end this show. And Slick Vic, this has been a hell of a show, man. We're literally almost 3 hours into this, despite a couple of breaks that we took, a couple of libation breaks, if you will. But is there anything that you want to add before we head into this weekend? Friday night SmackDown, Saturday night's main event. We got Monday Night Raw coming up. We got a lot of wrestling coming up in the next few days before we get to the next show. But in closing, is there anything that you want to say to our illustrious listeners out there?
Well, I am hoping for a flawless victory for Saturday night's main event. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And please stick around, because Mosley and I might just face each other off in Mortal Kombat.
We're going to really try. It's going to be a task. We're going to try, though. We're going to give it our best shot. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow us there on our Facebook page. As I mentioned before, we do make occasional posts. If things happen throughout the week we want to update you guys on, that's going to be on Facebook. In this case, if another match is added to Saturday night's main event on tomorrow's Friday Night SmackDown, you're going to want to be on our Facebook page. You're going to follow. You're going to want that to pop up on your wall so that you can see what Slick Vic's pick is for that match, if it happens. So, facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower. These episodes are recorded every single Thursday, and we go live on Twitch as we are right at this very moment. Twitch.com/wrestlingwithpower is where you can find that. You can watch us live as we do the shows. You can chime in with your thoughts, your comments. If you are someone who would rather listen to the show on your own time after the fact, then we have two outlets for you there, obviously. The YouTube channel, youtube.com/@wrestlingwithpower podcast, where you can listen and watch as we make these episodes each and every week. And then over on Spotify, take a break from your regularly scheduled albums and music that you've been listening to over and over and over for the past 6 years. Listen to some Wrestling with Power over on Spotify. Just search us up on there. You're going to find us. Every single one of our episodes, ever since day one-ish, is on Spotify. That's the only place that you're going to find every one of our episodes. We didn't start putting episodes up on YouTube, I think, until about episode 7 or 8. So if you want to go back into the archives and check out some of those early episodes, some really good ones in there. First few episodes, a lot of stuff was going on. Me and Vic, we talk about ourselves. We introduce ourselves. Episode 2, we had a couple of big moments happening there with Hulk Hogan passing away, Ozzy Osbourne. We talk about all that stuff. But we've been doing this for a little while now, and if you want to get caught up on everything that is Wrestling with Power, you're going to want to go and check out our YouTube channel. With that said, Slick Vic, as usual, is wishing you all the best in your future endeavors. And me, as usual, are going to remind everybody that no matter what life throws your way, you got to remember one thing. Stay powerful.